Today we're back in Springfield. This is part 2 of our Springfield series. Today we have Vivek Ramaswamy speaking. It's right down here, so that's going to be pretty interesting. There's been quite a bit still going on here in Springfield. We were here on Sunday. Today's now Thursday. So we're just here to kind of cover what's been going on. So the mainstream news is still putting out articles saying that it's racist, apparently, to question anything happening in the city. And what makes no sense is they're not addressing the concerns of anyone in the city. Like, we were here, if you have seen the part 1, we were here, we're asking people their opinions on what's happening, and there's clearly issues happening right now in Springfield. Now, the media is pointing out and saying that it's just the cats and the dogs and that if you're questioning anything, it has to be about the cats and dogs being. And well, the thing is, I mean, it sounds like that is happening, but it doesn't sound like that's a prevalent issue. But there's a lot of actual issues affecting people, and the media is pushing the stuff about cats and dogs, and I don't know, it's pretty ridiculous. I think they're using that as like a cover-up so people don't ask the real questions. So that's what we're here to do, is ask real questions. We're not here to be biased, nothing like that. Because at the end of the day, if you have residents of Springfield saying this stuff is happening and you have the news saying it's not happening, who are you going to trust more, the news or the residents? Now, look, either, according to the news, either all these residents talking are all racist or the news is lying to you. Which one do you think is more probable? Just sit back and wonder, which do you think every single person we talk to in Springfield is racist, or do you think the mainstream news is lying? You get to decide on that one. I hope I don't have to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. You need to think for yourself. But anyways, we're going to start doing some interviews, finding people. It's a very active city today. It was dead on Sunday. So we're going to ask people all types of questions. So stay tuned. Okay, so before we do interviews, we got a guy behind me, and he's kind of like scraping who knows what off the poles. And at first we weren't going to record it, but he's been going to like all these poles around here, scraping off who knows what. So we're now going to go to the actual poles and see what he's scraping off, but he has a knife, so I don't want to go up to him because that's scary. Okay, so Jimmy, you said you're a resident here in Springfield, so I'm sure you've heard a lot of the stuff that they've been talking about in the news recently. Do you think the news has blown this out of proportion? Do you think they're doing a good job reporting about it, or do you think that they're kind of lying about what's going on?
I think it's important not to go too extreme one way or the other, honestly. I think there's some real issues that Springfield needs to address. And, we need to make some progress, and, the safety and the health of the community needs to be addressed, and transportation and the threats. There's a lot going on. And I think that the majority of people don't want things to get more angry. They don't want things to get more violent. They just want some things to progress forward. And so I don't think I'd take a side on extreme one way or the other.
Okay. Do you think that then this cat situation, because the mainstream news is really highlighting that people are eating the cats, and from the people we've talked to, a lot of people say that might be happening, but that's not really the issue. That's not the main issue to focus on. Do you think that the reason the media is really singling that out is to distract people from the other issues, perhaps?
I don't think it's intentional to distract. I just think it grabs attention. And so, you throw that headline out there and people are going to read what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And again, I've talked to people and looked at news reports, left and right. And the majority are saying that's not the issue. That's not what we need to be talking about.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the things that really need to be addressed, like just the influx of lots of immigrants and how that affects the city,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So do you think the city is handling it the right way, or has this influx of immigrants, is it creating problems, do you think, for like the citizens?
Yeah, I mean, there's obvious problems to be addressed, when you have an influx of immigrants on a city and its infrastructure gets stretched like it has, it creates problems. But it's not problems to go blame, this person or that person. I think Rob Rue is doing his best, There's good videos of him doing conferences a few days ago of, what he's doing and working with DeWine. And, they brought more police and patrol in. And I think that's been a good thing, for us to get that support from Governor DeWine. And I would like to see more of that. People coming here to really help make things better,
right?
Instead of trying to find the next headline that's going to get people stirred up.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of why we wanted to come out here, because there's a lot of talk online, and obviously majority of the people talking online have never been in Springfield. So everyone's seeing what they've heard on the news, and they're making their opinions. Where it is weird how there are people in Springfield who are saying, well, there are issues that aren't being addressed, and the news seems like they're kind of like, well, it's all about the cats, people eating the cats, and that's not happening.
Yeah, it's not all about that.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you think when Trump made a comment about it at the debate last Tuesday, do you think that has had a net positive or a negative on Springfield?
Well, I live here, and since those comments, we've needed more patrol. And we've had, I live on the east side of Springfield, and I drive into downtown a lot. I'm a local business owner. And I've heard people, saying mean things to immigrants, while they're driving. And I've noticed it more so since President Trump's comments. So I don't think it's helped. But I'm not going to blame him completely for it. I think this issue has been sort of growing for a few years. It doesn't just happen in the past month.
Yeah.
There's been immigrants coming here for a while looking for jobs, looking to get away from their environment in Haiti that isn't healthy and is dangerous there. We didn't just get here all of a sudden. And so, I wish we could have more conversations about how we've gotten here, and hey, maybe Springfield and Ohio and the federal government hasn't paid enough attention to help the situation with the immigrants coming here, and so we've gotten to a point to where it's like, hey, things need to happen, but let's not just act like it's all this issue that's happening right now and Haitians are here destroying our democracy, and it's just like, nah, come on. There's real things to talk about, and and to navigate through safely. So,
and then the last question I'll ask, in your opinion, what would you do to kind of address the issues, to kind of clean things up a bit? How would you go about that, just to fix Springfield?
Man, I think it's interesting how much competition there is for certain news lines to grab the attention of the public. And I think people like Carl Ruby here in Springfield is doing some really good things with Haitian pastors, talking about how we can support and help Haitians who are being threatened in our community. I think it's St. Vincent de Paul does a good job with providing resources for immigrants and trying to alleviate the strain that so many immigrants can put on a city. I know there's small groups like Dan Nesselrode and Mulberry Church who are helping with translation and teaching Haitians English so they can, take part in our community in a, effective, beneficial way and not have that disconnect of language. And so I think things like that need to be talked about and put to the spotlight, because, man, this community doesn't want hate. It doesn't want more violence. It doesn't want that. I think that's the minority. There's a few people who take it that far, and it gets the headlines. And I think we can talk more about the people who are doing good things and trying to address the issues. And, they might be coming from different sides on the issue politically, but they're working towards peace, and they're working towards a healthy Springfield that can keep growing from here. And I think that's what we need.
Yeah. That's a great answer. I came here on Sunday for the first time. Today's my second time coming back, and from how the news described it, I was kind of expecting it to be like a little rundown or trashy, and down here, I had great things to say about it. I mean, it really beat my expectations. It's a beautiful city.
Yeah, thank you.
But from reading the news headlines, it kind of makes you think that it wouldn't be the way it is, and it's
sure.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of people are questioning what to believe, because I think everyone knows you shouldn't blindly trust the mainstream media.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, you can't just blindly trust what some people are saying online. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the reason we're out here, just to try to figure out what's really going on. And the best way is to find people, who live here and that they've seen what's been going on. So yeah, thank you for your time.
Sure.
Jimmy, right?
Jimmy.
You said Jimmy? Nice to meet you.
What
I'm
was your
Tanner.
name? Tanner?
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah. Okay, so are you guys residents of Springfield?
Well, we live in the county down south, but we do a lot of shopping up here.
Okay, so as you guys know, the media, it's been a lot of talk about what's been going on in Springfield.
Right, yeah, or national,
Now-
international news.
Absolutely. So a lot of people don't trust what the news is telling them, but a lot of people do trust what the news is telling them. So a lot of people are just wondering what is actually going on in Springfield. Have you seen anything abnormal happening here recently?
Not personally seeing anything unusual, but there's certainly a lot of unrest in the community, and you do see what could be Haitians walking around, though it's hard to tell. Is it a Haitian, is it black? We have a very good black and Latino community here. So we do get along well, and it's not about the color of the skin. It's about bringing in all these people who overflow our healthcare system, our school system, our safety systems. It's shut down because of the bomb scares. They shut down the community, and people are not able to get small business loans because they just can't close them in time for their endeavor.
Some things that a lot of people have been telling us is that they have EBT cards, or they have family members who get food stamps, and that those have been getting cut recently. And they're saying that anywhere from $1,200 to $2,400 a month are being given to the immigrants. Do you know if there's any truth to that happening?
I do not know. I'm not a cash register, cashier, so I do not know.
Okay. Then another question I have. So Donald Trump made comments on Tuesday about Springfield. Since he made those comments, do you think it's had a positive impact on Springfield or more of a negative impact on Springfield?
So I think it's a positive impact. It's pathetic that you have to talk about immigrants eating cats and dogs when we have this huge problem here with this, 20,000 people in a city of 60,000 people. So I think it's actually good that this has brought this issue to light, what the Biden-Harris administration has brought into the community.
Yeah, agreed. Then the last question is, do you think Vivek speaking here today, do you think that it's gonna be good to bring attention to what's happening?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I same kind of thing like Trump saying, yeah, they're eating cats and dogs and ducks and geese. I think it's good that we have media people coming here to talk about the problem. We did have Secretary of State LaRose here not too long ago.
So Governor DeWine's popped in and out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, well, thank you guys for your time. What's your name?
Andy.
Andy, nice to meet you.
Nice
My
to
name's
meet you.
Tanner. What's your name?
John.
John,
Pleasure
nice to meet you guys. Okay, first of all, my name's Tanner. What's your name?
Tanner. Gary.
Gary, nice to meet
Also
you.
Gary.
Gary, oh, nice to meet you guys. Okay, so I kind of want to start with talking about some things that the mainstream media is saying. So they just put out some articles, I believe it was on CNN yesterday, and they're saying that it's racist to question that this influx of immigrants, that it's creating issues.
Yeah.
Now, I think that there are definitely issues that have been brought up here in Springfield that didn't need to be caused.
Not only that, I think some people's animosity causes them to say stupid things. So yeah, I could understand reading in between the lines. But no, I can tell you, I've lived in Springfield 30 years. It's not a racist town. So you don't experience racism in Springfield, Ohio. It's a very diverse town. So I alone as a contractor employ a dozen Mexican immigrants that came here 20 years ago and have been building a life here for 20 years. So when this all started, I blatantly was a supporter. So it's the numbers. Our system cannot support, and I don't think it's 20,000. I think it's 20 to closer to 30,000. So if 20,000 are registered, you already know there's more than that as far as unregistered goes. So the numbers keep growing. The problems keep compounding. As of yesterday, we had 2 vehicles on top of their tops. I literally did not have an issue with the extra foot traffic, the extra influx at our city buildings, at the social services. It came down to driving from one side of Springfield to the other for the sake of me getting through my day has become, if you don't know how to drive like Mario Andretti, literally peripheral vision's back here and constantly evaluating your surroundings, you will get ran into. So as you travel back and forth and you see the differences in fluctuation of speed and traffic, you realize that was what set off my alarm to somebody's blatantly going to get hurt. Now, when I say somebody had already been hurt, but it was one incident. at this point, not only are we having accidents, but a second individual has had their life taken. So it's not going to slow down and stop unless somebody puts a stop to it.
Yeah.
So that's where these people are not racist individuals. These are people who care about what's going on in their city. They were okay with the beginning of all this for the most part, and then it just compounded and compounded and compounded. So it comes down to the profiteering of our wealthy. Those that are getting rich off of these individuals' backs are the ones that are supporting the system. It is not as much of, so take the racism, shove it straight where the sun don't shine, and understand that this is individuals being taken advantage of by those that say they're looking out for them due to the sake of profit. So the people that employ them are employing them due to profit. The people that house them for profit. The people that transport them for profit. And our city officials somehow think that this is okay because they get pulled over daily. They let go with no licenses, no insurance. So I've had people tell me they were in traffic court and seen people with 9 driving without licenses, get tickets, pay fines, walk out the door.
Wow.
Me and you don't get away with that.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask that.
Right.
That's something a lot of people are saying is that
Right.
they don't have licenses.
Right.
Some are saying they don't even have permits.
I went to traffic court not long ago, and 80% of the room was people without licenses.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow. So is
They
there...
had multiple interpreters in the room because
Oh, I see.
none of them spoke English, and everybody in the room did not have a license, and they were just let off with fines.
So do you think the city council is really working towards fixing this in any way at the moment?
No, they support it. So not only do they support it, but then they talk down to the people that have a problem with it. So that's where stepping in become part of my, so I didn't want to be a part of the mess until I had to be part of the mess. But at this point, I'm going to stand up for my local citizens of the town that I live in because I support the fact that they're not okay with somebody being crammed down their throat. We're a very rural community. Even though we have a city, we got a lot of rural community. So as a general contractor, who do you think should be number one in line to be okay with all these new houses and the influx of citizens, et cetera? So I should support all this. You know, it comes down to it ruins the feel of our town. The culture has been so diluted by people that are just here for the sake of take, not give by any means, that it is blatantly changing the mindset of the people around me. We have people fleeing our city for the first time in 25 years. Why should people that have lived here comfortably for 25 years flee the city?
Right.
So nobody should ever feel uncomfortable in their own home. I mean, it's not even a thing. So I'm on the west side of Springfield. My side of Springfield is very diverse. They started on that side of town. They fluctuated towards the east side. So I have had 3 years longer of sorting this out than anybody else and never had to open my mouth. I literally had to listen. In doing so, realize that if somebody of any kind of caliber whatsoever didn't start standing up for these people, that they were literally getting walked on. So I'm okay with profiteering. I'm okay with manufacturing. I'm okay with everybody making a buck at the end of the day. I don't want empty houses. I don't want people not having employees for jobs. So I understand there's a certain amount of that's okay. But then you hit a point where 3 hours to get anything done around here, you go to the B&B, you go to the bank, it's an extra 45 minutes on your day instead of in and out. So everything is overwhelmed. So when our veterans are down at the welfare office, so the social services are so overwhelmed, they say 9 out of 10 are Haitians, and that out of the 1 out of 10 citizens, you will wait in line 45 minutes for something that used to take 10 minutes.
Wow.
They're waiting hours to get inside to be even seen.
Yeah.
So is that okay?
No,
Is it okay to
no.
have your food lines, bread lines? Our homeless are now homeless. They don't even have shelters anymore around here.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating.
Well, that's another thing that a lot of people have been bringing attention to. They're saying that their food stamp cards are getting their money cut from it. And I've been hearing very consistently that...
So because I don't get social services, I don't know that end of it. All I know is not only is so much money getting handed out, but then those people are saying that, yes, their services are being cut. So by the time rent went from $600 a month to $1,200 a month for a crappy rental to now nice places will run you $1,500 to $1,700 a month pretty standardly, people around here don't have that kind of income.
Yeah.
They're struggling to get through a recession. So how do you go and double somebody's rent during a recession?
Yeah.
So what they end up doing is they leave. So good people have to leave so that other people can fill their space, so that people that are out to monopolize off the situation can profiteer off the backs of others. I'm not okay with that, you know.
Right.
So that's where the common sense has to step in and say, look, this isn't a race issue. This is you are cramming a problem down people's throats they don't deserve to have crammed down their throats.
I go to school here, and I think we have 600 Haitians in our building, Our building was built for 1,200 students. We now have 1,800. And last week, 4 days in a row, they had to evacuate our middle schools for bomb threats. Every single day of the week, there were bomb threats.
Yeah. That's kind of ridiculous, you know, like I understand how people can disagree with some things, but where do you think that stemmed from? People think it's more liberal-leaning people that are upset with...
I have no idea. I mean,
It's not the Haitians' fault for coming here. It's the amount that they allowed to. Our town had a population of 45,000. They added 33% of our population into our town. I mean, we've almost doubled our town at this point, and the town's not built for that many people.
Right.
We don't have the infrastructure for it.
Yeah, so do you think this is a direct reflection of the border crisis at the moment, how it's just wide open?
It is and it isn't, because this all started in 2014 with a Welcome Springfield. They were actually trying to be welcoming to South American influx of population, specifically Latino. So no matter where they come from, we don't know who comes through Mexico, obviously. They were blatantly trying to be a welcoming city. By the time they had interpreters, people that were willing to process their licenses, housing, employment, now we have just been swarmed like a absolute hornet's nest of people because it's an easy place for them to settle. Well, that's fine till you end up at 20,000 and there's not a square inch of town left for anybody to stay in. So at this point in time, as long as people can profit off the efforts of others, they're going to continue to do so until somebody makes it not okay anymore. Well, our officials don't seem to have anybody's back. So as everybody goes down to City Hall and ends up looking like the bad guy because we're not okay with this, it crossed lines long ago, So it's not okay with it. I mean, we're blatantly okay with it. It just needed to be slowed down. Blatantly, in the beginning, they should have had schools, processing centers, driving schools. If you're going to bring new people to a new place, you have to educate them on how things function. Can you imagine going to another country and trying to drive from your phone on translator apps? I mean, they literally drive around with their phones to their ears, constantly listening to directions or GPS in the next place they've got to go. So not only can we not drive, let's also go and add a phone and distraction to the mix because you can't read the street signs. I mean, it's just a negative. I mean, it doesn't work. So you can't hold it against the people that come here and take opportunity. You got to hold it against your officials that made it okay for them to come here and take opportunity. Yeah. That's what it comes down to.
Okay, so then the last question I have, the media seems to have an obsession about only focusing on the rumors of the cats and the dogs being eaten. Now, do you think, well, first of all...
Here's what it comes down to. I blatantly think that not only was that blown out of proportion, Trojan horse, congratulations to us for coming up with something anybody gave a shit about, because they didn't care till cats and dogs are getting eaten. Meanwhile, people are doing U-turns in the middle of the street in front of school buses, man. Yeah. So if it took somebody coming up with some nonsense like somebody's eating cats to make anybody care, well, look at us. Here we are, Trojan cat. Screw a Trojan horse, here's our Trojan cat. So that's about the best way I can put it to you, is if that's what it made somebody actually concern themselves with our problem, this was only going to continue. So see the bright side where it may. I don't have to see a skinned cat to see the positive angle of, hey, keep talking about people eating cats. I don't care, as long as you're talking about us on a national stage so that somebody cares. As of this morning, I'm reading an article about the Ohio Attorney General is now pursuing an investigation into the gentleman that owns the temporary services agency that is employing most of these individuals, charging them for housing, charging them for transportation to and from work. So if that's what it took, so be it. Now, have I ever seen anybody eat a cat? Hell no, man. I think I might have a problem with that. I sure as hell would have a picture for you. But, I don't even have to get into the ducks and geese angle because I don't care. Right. So, we have duck and goose season in this country. People eat ducks and geese. They're not nasty for eating ducks and geese, correct? Yeah. Okay, well, if that's what it took for somebody to concern themselves, don't you think that's a bigger picture of okay?
Yeah, absolutely. See, my opinion on it is I think that the media is kind of highlighting on that to keep people talking about that because it sounds extreme, so that way they don't look into the real issue.
Light. Squirrel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, word soup, squirrel. Yeah, gotcha. That's what it is.
So I think, one last question. Do you think Vivek speaking here today, do you think that's going to continue to shed a positive light on the situation?
It's always positive, yeah. There's no such thing as negative when it comes to putting it out there. I don't believe in negative, It's all positive. Okay. So the fact that we're in this situation, it ain't solving itself. So in 30 years living here, I've never seen nationalists come to town. I've never seen Proud Boys come to town. I've never even seen Antifa come to town. So as these groups are showing up, it's all negative, man. Well, why are they here? Because we're on a national stage, so they're taking opportunity. That doesn't change the people that live here every single day. It's not changing their mindsets. I go out in my community every day. Nobody around here is racist. I deal with blacks, Mexicans, Indians, Asians. Nobody ever says, hey, those people, and talks down to anybody around here. It's just not even a thing. Yeah. So it's not in my wheelhouse to have somebody tell me you're racist because you have a thought process in your head that doesn't agree with mine. Yeah. When I know what the hell my mind thinks through on a given day and basis. I don't take advantage of anybody of color. So it's frustrating, man. It becomes frustrating. So these people are not the ones to stay at home and sit on their ass and allow it to continue to happen. They're the ones that are going to come down here and try and speak their minds and make somebody care at the behest of being called a bad person or a racist, or a bigot. So, okay, sweet, whatever it takes. Yeah. At this point, So do I support the Haitian community? Absolutely. I just wish that this had been blatantly thought through 10 times more so than it was. I wish this wouldn't have exploded to the degree that it did, and I wish that these would have become productive members of our society, taxpayers, just like anybody else that we bring over here from another country. Yeah. I mean, that's the way immigration is supposed to work. So the fact that it's exploded and been shoved down our throats and become such a volatile situation. But no, do I think these people are all criminals and become criminal entities overnight and everything? No. I think what they've come from to be here was enough of an opportunity for them to put their lifestyles behind them. Everybody comes from blight. You don't flee a great country that's awesome to live in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
No matter where they come from blight. I'm good with that. Come here and be a good person.
Yeah. Okay, well, hey, thank you for your time. I respect that big time. Thank you, guys.
Okay, so we found one of these signs that the guy was scraping off the poles. And as you can see, I can't read it obviously, but it talks about Proud Boys, Patriot Front, the Blood Tribe, 3 percenters. And it seems like, if anything, the guy's scraping. Say again?
Can you translate that for me?
No, we have no idea. We just saw some guy scraping it off earlier and we're talking about it.
Oh, the Proud Boys, the 3 percenters, the Blood Tribe, wow.
Yeah, the guy we saw earlier, he had a knife and he was like skinhead, just scraping them off.
Really?
Yeah. Hey, you have a good one.
We're in a crazy town now.
Yes, sir. But as I was saying, we saw some guy earlier scraping this off with a knife, a skinhead, and I don't like to be a stereotyper, but he fit the description of a neo-Nazi. And we were going to go up to him, ask him some questions, but walking up to a guy with a knife scraping off stickers off a pole probably isn't the greatest idea. So we just played it safe and started looking for him, and we found it. Now, if anybody could translate that would be awesome. We're going to try to when we get home, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's again, can't read it, but maybe it's a warning about these groups, and the presence here is real, and he was destroying that. It's hard telling. I don't want to spew misinformation because I do not know what that says, so don't take my word for it.
Okay, guys, thank you for watching this video. This is all we got for our interviews. That last guy we interviewed, after we cut the cameras, we were talking about the car insurance situation. And one thing I'd like to point out is he said that he has a fleet of vehicles. And 3 months ago, he was paying about $1,800 a month on car insurance. Now he's paying $2,400 a month in car insurance. So clearly there's issues in Springfield that is not getting addressed by the mainstream media. You got to hear a bunch of different perspectives of things going on, but every single person said that there is issues that are not being addressed, and every single person said that the cats and dogs situation is being blown way out of proportion. So I think it's safe to say our final takeaway can be, don't buy into the cat and dog stuff that the mainstream media is pushing, and instead look at everything else, from your EBT cards getting cut, the job market, there's not enough jobs here in Springfield to fulfill the influx of immigrants. Your car insurance is out of whack. I mean, there's a bunch of issues, and we could take a deeper dive on a future video possibly about the mayor, because the mayor is pretty corrupt, but that's a whole story in itself. But as far as this video goes, I think this is everything we want to show you guys. We're able to do more interviews. If you guys want us to come back and do even more interviews, just let us know. I know Trump's going to be here in a few weeks. Well, probably less than 2 weeks he's going to be here. So if any of you guys really want us to do more interviews and see even more what's going on, just leave some comments and we could probably make that happen. So with that being said, thank you for watching the video. This is the Decryption Podcast. My name's Tanner, and behind that phone is Mr. Ethan. Peace.